The most powerful aircraft carrier ever built is not sitting in a harbor. It is cutting through open water, armed with weapons never seen on any warship in history. The U.S. Navy just loaded its brand new Ford-class carriers with systems so advanced, they make every other warship in the world look like a relic.
And today, we are breaking down every single one of them, one by one.
Introduction. The Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carrier is not just a bigger version of what came before it. It is a completely different machine, built from the ground up with new technology, new weapons, and a new way of fighting wars at sea.
Every major system on this ship was redesigned. The launch system, the landing system, the radar, the weapons, the power supply, all of it, all new.
All more lethal than anything that came before. And here is why this matters right now. The world is getting more dangerous. China just launched its most advanced carrier. Threats to U.S. forces at sea are growing, and the Navy did not respond with a patch or a quick fix. They responded by building the most powerful strike platform in naval history. These carriers are out there right now, and the weapon. Before we get into what these weapons actually are, drop a comment below and let us know which one of these weapons do you think is the most important for keeping America's edge at sea.
We want to hear from you. Now let us get into the first weapon, and it starts with something that changed the Navy's way of thinking about launching aircraft forever. EMALS, the launch weapon. For more than 50 years, every U.S. Navy carrier launched its aircraft the same way. Steam. A massive blast of compressed steam slammed against a piston, and that piston hurled the aircraft down the flight deck and into the air. It worked. It had worked since World War II. But it was violent, it was heavy, it required enormous amounts of fresh water, and it could not handle certain types of aircraft at all. The Ford-class carriers replaced all of that with the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, EMALS. Instead of steam,
the launch is smooth, controlled, precise. The amount of energy delivered can be dialed in for each aircraft type.
Why did that distinction matter? Because the old steam system was too rough and too sudden for lighter unmanned aircraft. It would essentially tear them apart. It means an entirely new class of unmanned aircraft, drones that can scout, strike, and support manned fighters.
The performance numbers back this up. The USS Gerald R. Ford is designed to generate 160 sorties per day under normal operations.
AAG, the recovery weapon. Landing a fully armed fighter jet on a moving carrier deck is one of the most dangerous things a pilot can do.
The aircraft comes in fast, slams down hard, and a wire catches the tailhook, stopping the plane in just a few hundred feet. At least. The system that controls that wire has been hydraulic since World War II. It worked, but it applied the same stopping force to everything.
The Ford class changed that with the advanced arresting gear, the AAG. Instead of hydraulic pressure, the AAG uses water turbines that...
If a heavy fighter comes in loaded with fuel and weapons, the system responds with more resistance. If a lightweight unmanned aircraft comes in, the system adjusts down. Every single landing is handled with exactly the right amount of force, nothing more, nothing less. This makes every recovery safer for pilots. It dramatically reduces physical stress on the aircraft's landing gear and airframe, and it means the carrier can now safely recover a far wider range of aircraft. EMALS and AAG together form the world's first fully electromagnetic launch and recovery system. They were not designed just for today's aircraft. They were built specifically for the next generation of unmanned carrier aviation, drones that are already being developed and are getting closer to full deployment with every passing year.
F-35C, the stealth strike weapon. The F-35C is the Navy's stealth carrier-based fighter, and calling it a fighter jet undersells what it really is.
It is a flying combat system, a platform that carries weapons, collects intelligence, shares targeting data across an entire...
The F-35C carries weapons inside the aircraft, in sealed internal bays. Nothing hangs off.
From an enemy radar screen, the F-35CC presents one of the smallest signatures of any aircraft in the sky. In many combat...
Its unrefueled combat radius is approximately 1,200 nautical miles, the distance it can fly, engage a target, and return without stopping for fuel.
With air-to-air refueling support, that range extends significantly further, putting virtually any target within reach. But the most
It is what it allows the entire strike group to accomplish. The F-35C uses its advanced sensors to locate and identify enemies.
It then shares that targeting data instantly over a secure network, with F-18 Super Hornets flying safely behind it.
The F-35C never has to enter the kill zone.
It finds the target, marks it, and disappears. The Hornets do the rest.
LRASM, the thinking missile. Most anti-ship missiles fly a straight line. They are fast and powerful, but they go where they are aimed, and that is it. EMALS and AAG together form the world's first fully electromagnetic launch and recovery system. They were not designed just for today's aircraft. It can navigate around threats it encounters along its flight path. It flies extremely low, almost at sea level, to stay underneath enemy radar coverage. As it closes in on its target, it scans the enemy warship and selects the most vulnerable point to hit. It was specifically designed to defeat the most advanced naval air defense systems in the world, systems built for the sole purpose of shooting down incoming missiles like this one.
Rogers. In October 2025, the LRASM was also fitted to the P-8AA Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, adding
That means the Navy now has multiple independent launch options, from fighters off the carrier, from patrol aircraft operating far away, all using the same levers. Combined with the F-35C as the targeting platform, the LRASM creates a kill chain that is extremely difficult to break. The target off dual-band radar and the defensive shield. The Ford-class carriers do not just hit hard, they see everything around them. The ship carries a dual-band radar system, DBR, that combines two different radar technologies into one integrated unit. The S-band side handles wide-area search, scanning the sky across enormous distances. The X-band side handles precision tracking once a threat is identified. Together, they can detect, track, and target hundreds of aircraft and missiles at the same time, at ranges no older single system could achieve. Because both radar bands are merged into a single compact array, the island superstructure on the Ford class is actually smaller than it was on the Nimitz class. That smaller island reduces the ship's radar cross-section, making the carrier itself slightly harder to detect from long range. The DBR feeds directly into the ship's self-defense system, which pulls data from every sensor on board and presents one complete view of every threat in the battle space, updated constantly. For threats that get through the outer defense, the Ford class carries fast-reacting surface-to-air missiles. The power behind future laser weapons. The USS Gerald R. Ford is powered by twin A-1B nuclear reactors. Those reactors generate more than 100 megawatts of electrical power, more than 3 times what a Nimitz-class carrier produces. The old Nimitz ships generated 4,160 volts of electricity. The Gerald R. Ford generates 13,800 volts. Because the next generation of naval weapons, directed energy weapons, meaning laser systems, require enormous. Traditional carriers could not support them. The Ford class was designed with exactly the power output those systems will need. The Ford class already has the power. It has the physical space, because removing all those old steam generation systems freed up significant room inside the ship. And the infrastructure to integrate laser weapons into the ship's systems is already accounted for in the design. When laser weapons come online on these carriers,
the magazine is essentially unlimited as long as the reactors are running, and a laser reaches its target at the speed of light.
The Ford class is already waiting for that technology. It does not need to be retrofitted. The ship is ready. Unmanned aircraft and the growing fleet. The last piece of this picture is unmanned aviation. Its initial mission is aerial refueling, extending the range of carrier-based fighters during long operations. But it is also being looked. Initial flight tests for the Stingray were scheduled for early 2026, with an initial operational capability target of 2027.
When it reaches the fleet, it will extend the combat range of the F-35C and F-18 significantly, reduce pilot exposure during non-combat missions.
EMALS can launch the Stingray, AAG can recover it, the power grid supports it. Every system on the Ford class connects to every other. That is what makes this ship genuinely different from anything that came before. It is not just a collection of upgraded parts.
And that fleet is growing. The USS John F. Kennedy CVN-79 is on track for commissioning in 2027.
CVN-81, CVN-82, and CVN-83 are behind them. The Navy's plan calls for
Each of those ships will carry every weapon we walk through today, and every one of them will be ready for the laser systems and autonomous aircraft of the near future. It is an impressive step forward for that country's navy. It even uses an electromagnetic launch system. But it is not nuclear-powered. It cannot generate the electricity needed to support laser weapons, and it does not have the decades of operational experience that...
The U.S. Navy is not just holding its lead, it is extending it. The most powerful weapons ever placed on an aircraft.
More of them are on the way, and the technology being developed today will make these ships even more lethal in the years ahead. Initial flight tests for the Stingray were scheduled for early 2026, with an initial operational capability target of 2027. Every new video goes straight to your feed.